The world's economic gravity is shifting. Years ago, Washington still stood at the center of global trade, diplomacy, and finance. But today, under President Donald Trump's second term, America's influence is no longer pulling the world closer, it's pushing it away. The man who vowed to make America great again by forcing allies into line and punishing trading partners is now watching the opposite unfold, a quiet global boycott of the United States. From Canada to Germany, from China to Brazil, travelers, investors, and even longtime allies are quietly turning away. Airports are emptier, border towns are struggling, and global data paints a clear picture. The world isn't embracing America, it's avoiding it. Trump's tariffs, his travel bans, his America First bravado, all meant to project power, are now repelling the very partners America once depended on. And the message from abroad? If Trump's America doesn't want friends, the world will simply move on without it. Let's start with America's neighbor and oldest friend, Canada. If you drive across the Ambassador Bridge or look at the Peace Arch near Vancouver, you'll still see those flags, the stars and stripes and the maple leaf, waving side by side. But fewer Canadians are crossing that border. According to a new report by the U.S. Tourism Association, the U.S. is set to lose $5.7 billion in international tourism spending this year alone. And the biggest reason? Canadians have stopped coming. U.S. Travel also projects inbound international visits to drop 6.3% in 2025, down to about 67.9 million from 72.4 million last year. A rare and widespread decline. Since Trump returned to office in January, the number of Canadians visiting the U.S. has fallen off a cliff, down 27% by air and an even sharper 35% by land compared to last year. Tourism Economics reports Canadian visitation down around 25% year-to-date, with a 37% plunge in land arrivals in July alone. Canadians, who traditionally make up more than a quarter of all foreign visitors to America, are choosing to stay home or head somewhere else entirely. And it's not because of gas prices or weather, it's politics. Trump's renewed trade fights, his tariffs, and that now infamous remark calling Canada America's 51st state struck a nerve. For the tourism industry, it's been devastating. Even Trump himself acknowledged there's a problem. When asked about the collapse in Canadian tourism, he waved it off, saying, "There's still great love between the two countries." But love doesn't fill hotel rooms or restaurant tables. And it's not just Canada. This drop is now global. According to Tourism Economics, overseas arrivals to the U.S., that's everyone outside of North America, fell 3.1% in July and are down 1.6% for the year so far. Drops were led by Western Europe and Asia, with border state hotels also seeing lower occupancy. The World Travel and Tourism Council, the WTTC, says America is now the only major economy in the world where foreign tourist spending is shrinking. We're talking about a fall from $181 billion last year to just under $169 billion in 2025. That's about a $12.5 billion hit. And Reuters packs that up. They say foreign travel spending in the U.S. is on track to drop 7% this year, as the combination of politics, strong dollar, and uncertainty pushes travelers elsewhere. Even business travel is softening. Analysts warn weaker demand and Trump-era policy headwinds could erase billions from the U.S. economy this year. Everywhere you look, it's the same story. Tougher visas, unpredictable rhetoric, a less welcoming America. And now even immigration, once one of America's greatest soft power advantages, is slowing down. Zoom into Asia and the picture sharpens. Western Europe and Asia are the two regions leading the pullback, with Asia's retreat amplified by policy frictions and price dynamics. Airfares into the U.S. remain elevated in many markets, and the strong dollar has made America the most expensive long-haul option for many families, particularly when comparable experiences in Japan, Korea, Thailand, or the UAE now feel cheaper, more convenient, or less politically fraught. Several U.S. business and destination marketing groups also point to tightened border procedures and a drumbeat of policy announcements that inject uncertainty into trip planning. Policy matters, and in 2025, it mattered a lot. The administration's new visa integrity fee of $250 for applicants from non-visa waiver countries, including China and India, comes on top of existing costs, pushing total fees above $440 for many travelers. Industry analysts warn the fee will deepen the slump in U.S.-bound travel from large Asian markets already struggling with slower visa processing and tighter entry scrutiny. This is not a theoretical risk. Government and industry trackers confirm overseas travel to the U.S. was already down 3.1% year-over-year by July, before the new search charge even took effect. China, historically one of the most lucrative long-haul markets, illustrates the nuance. Some datasets show a modest year-to-date uptick in Chinese arrivals in early 2025, as flight capacity crept back, but levels remain far below 2019 and highly sensitive to policy signals, reciprocity, and costs. In other words, even where green shoots appear, they're fragile. With additional U.S. visa fees, lingering geopolitical tensions, and cheaper regional alternatives, analysts doubt a rapid Chinese rebound will close America's widening inbound gap in 2025. Japan presents a different but equally telling case. Japanese travelers have been flocking to Japan and the wider Asia-Pacific thanks to a weak yen and aggressive regional tourism promotions. While their long-haul U.S. trips lag, industry roundups peg double-digit declines in Japan to U.S. traffic in 2025, consistent with broader NTO evidence of weaker overseas arrivals. The contrast is striking. Japan is breaking records for inbound tourism at home, while U.S.-bound trips from Japan underperform. A reminder that in a multipolar travel market, destination choices shift rapidly toward value and convenience. Corporate travel tells a similar story. NTO's business arrival snapshots still rank India, Japan, South Korea, and China among top feeders for U.S. business visits, but project pipelines and executive travel have been trimmed. Trade groups and wire services reported a 9% drop in April business travel to the U.S., with forward bookings from Europe and parts of Asia weakening into the summer. For multinational teams based in Singapore, Seoul, Tokyo, or Bangalore, the combination of visa friction, headline risk at the border, and cheaper thriving conference circuits in Asia increasingly tips event decisions towards Seoul, Singapore, Tokyo, or Dubai, not Las Vegas or Orlando. Education, a crucial long-term pipeline for U.S. soft power, is also feeling the pinch. While students from China, India, and South Korea still top monthly arrival charts, counselors report that uncertainty around future visa rules and fees is pushing some families to keep options open in Canada, the UK, Australia, and Singapore. When even a small percentage diversifies away from the U.S., the ripple effect hits airlines, rental markets, and local service economies near campuses. Now let's talk about Germany. According to Germany's Federal Statistics Office, the number of Germans moving to the United States has dropped dramatically, down 17.8% so far this year, to around 17th of 100 people. That's the lowest level since the pandemic year of 2021. Meanwhile, migration from the U.S. to Germany is up 3.4%, over 19,000 people, marking the first time in 4 years that more Americans are moving to Germany than vice versa. And it's not just migration that's changing direction. Tourism is too. Between January and August, 196 million Americans visited Germany, down 3.2% from last year. Summer travel in July, typically the busiest month, dropped over 10%. Germany even updated its U.S. travel advisory in March, warning that having a visa or ESTA waiver doesn't guarantee entry anymore after several German travelers were detained at U.S. borders. German travelers once drawn to America for its wide roads and big cities are now choosing Europe, Spain, Turkey, Italy over the U.S. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. Germans once chased the American dream. Now they're choosing to stay home or head elsewhere. Back on the northern border, the fallout continues.